What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sector for Nerds, and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars Retro Discussions. Today we're going to be talking about Season 5, Episode 13, Point of No Return. This episode was directed by Bosco and written by Brent Friedman. The cookie for this episode: you must trust in others, or success is impossible. Make sure you guys are liking this video, subscribing to the channel, sharing this video with others to help support the channel. Plenty of great content every single week, you guys. Nothing that you want to miss out on. So here we go, you guys. This is the final episode of the Droid arc. So excited to get into this here with you guys today. But first up, intro guy, let the people know what's been going on in this arc. Mission accomplished. Colonel Gascon and his droid squad steal an encryption module needed to crack a Separatist code and stop an impending attack on the Republic. After surviving the Void and escaping the hostile planet of Abathar, our heroes finally appear to be heading in the right direction. Thank you, intro guy. Yeah, that summed it up pretty perfectly there. You know, episode 1 was all about our team stealing the encryption module. Episode 2 was surviving the Void, aka the episode where nothing happens. And then the third episode is them escaping the planet Abathar, and now it looks like things are finally moving the right direction for us, but maybe not. So they're getting the shuttle toward the Republic Venator that's above the planet, and the Colonel, you know, he's like, R2, contact the ship and tell him that I request a meal with the captain. And he crucially says, I don't eat bantha.
Like a bantha.
But Wack contacts them as they're landing, and he's like, Colonel, I've got a bad feeling about this. You know, the iconic Star Wars line. And you can kind of tell there when you get into the hangar, it's like, well, all the blast doors are shut, all the lights are off, like something ain't right about this. They get to the bridge of the ship, and, well, it looks like there's officers there, but then they find out they're just all holograms. But then the ship makes the jump to hyperspace, which Wack points out means that someone is definitely navigating the ship right now. And they find out the people that are piloting this ship are battle droids. So then they get off the bridge. They end up going into a room that has like this giant detonator in it. The droids had a tough time getting it in there, but they eventually got there. And so then as R2 and the droids take the room, C4 uses his, blast or whatever. And it actually, loses control when he uses it. He actually fell right back into a wall. So it actually played into his benefit for once. And then they're able to kind of like draw some of the other droids off or whatever. And then they look at this thing and it's like, okay, they realize it's a bomb. And then they open up the hangar doors and realize, like, oh, shoot, there's all this rhydonium in here, which is probably why they would have went to Abathar in the first place, right, is to get all that rhydonium for this mission. And the Colonel's just like, I want off this ship immediately. Like, my mission's over. I had no orders to stop Separatist piracy or disarm bombs. And then Wax says on behalf of one of the mechs, if we don't stop this ship from getting to its position, it could cost the Republic thousands of lives. So then as they're leaving that room, R2 ends up catching an LEP servant droid that's spying on them, who reveals that there's other Republic crew members on board, which end up being in their ship. Meanwhile, we've got the super tactical droid that's on the bridge, and he's holding this giant yellow ball. And I remember the first time watching that, I was like, we're bringing buzz droids into this. And I did get kind of excited. Because, that's a thing from Revenge of the Sith, right? Like, oh, be careful. You have a... Oh, dear. So then we find out again that the other crew members are just droids, right? Most of them are just gonk droids. And the droid says, the coordinates are a space station in the Karita system, which Colonel immediately freaks out over because he's like, that's the site of the Republic Strategy Conference. He said the Jedi Council's going to be there, Republic officers from around the galaxy will be there. And realizing, yeah, the Separatists are going to use this station as like a giant battery ram nuclear weapon to blow up the station. So then the Colonel finally then decides like, okay, we do have to do something about this. But that buzz droid that was sent around to go look for the intruders is spying on them. And then they realize what's going on. It's like, all right, we got to stop that droid. So they have this really cool one shot where R2 is chasing the buzz droid throughout the Venator. And he chases it into the cannon room.
Where'd he go? We've got to find him.
I do not know. I do not see him anywhere. Colonel, I think I see him. I think I see a whole lot of him.
It's a trap!
It's a trap. They start fighting off the buzz droids. I gotta say, I really love the theme that they use for this battle as well. It's the same theme that they use in the Geonosis arc when all of the Jedi are trying to fight off the zombies in the Geonosian caves. There's a lot of themes in the Clone Wars that I really enjoy, and that's one of them. It's just like a really intense theme. I love it. R2 ends up establishing a perimeter by, like, you know, throwing oil on the ground, and then he lights it on fire. Kind of like what he does with the super battle droids in Revenge of the Sith, right? But then, like, as this room is already filled up with buzz droids, somehow even more end up making their way in there. And they're trying to figure out what to do, because it's like there's so many of them. And I love when Colonel's just like, he looks at BZ after he says something, he goes, "What do you mean, get out?" I love this right here, BZ's sacrifice moment for the team. I think it's really cool because the team went back to save him, right, in the first episode when they could have just, like, left him there because he was pretty much left for dead anyway, right? But they wanted to, you know, they knew the right thing to do was to save his life. And I think BZ, from his point of view, looked at that and went, these guys all saved me. Now it's my turn to save them. So he just goes out and he gets like a dozen buzz droids just crawling all over him. And he's like making his way to the door panel. And he opens up the door and he goes flying out with all of the buzz droids. R2 ends up closing the door, and then they kind of take a moment to honor his sacrifice. The Colonel has like a little bit of a speech. And I think for Colonel, this is a nice bit as well, because like when you start this droid arc, like you can kind of tell like he doesn't really have much respect for these droids. And it's just like, all I'm really in this for is to get my promotion at the end. But I feel like as this arc has gone on, and even in this moment right here, I think he realizes like, yeah, no, we do all make a really good team. And he does feel sad about BZ's loss. And he goes, you know, the only way that we can honor that sacrifice at this point is to stop the Separatists from taking any more Republic lives. And at that point, he's kind of willing to be brave in other moments where he may not have been before. Because before, right, like, it's like, well, he didn't really fight in any battles. He's just a map reader, right? Like, that was the whole joke in the first episode. So I felt it was a really great character bit for the Colonel. And so they're going through their plan, right, of what they're going to do. It's like, okay, we just got to distract all the battle droids so then R2 can get to the detonator, get it to count down early, and then hopefully he can make it back here and we can all get off before the thing blows up. So then they start going through with their plan. In come the droids. At this point, the Colonel's riding on top of C4 now. Since BZ's gone, he's no longer got his command center. And they start getting the droids to safety. One of them just, like, is super slow, and it just, like, epically fails in terms of getting there. The battle droids shoot it. The ship falls out of hyperspace, and the super tactical droid says that he's going to go to the detonator, start the countdown. We get Obi-Wan and Anakin on this space station. There were actually a lot of people there that I saw on there. Like, you had Obi-Wan, Anakin, I saw Mace Windu, I saw Commander Wolf, I think Cody was on there. Big conference. And Anakin points out, isn't that ship coming in a little too fast? Everyone gets to the shuttle while the Colonel and C4 distract the battle droids. Wack gets on the ship and starts using the guns to give the rest of the droids cover fire. Colonel sees that R2 is in there with the super tactical droid by the detonator, and it's like, you know, the droid said once the detonation starts, there's no stopping it. And then the Colonel's like, all right, R2's never going to make it back in time to the shuttle. We have to delay the launch. We got to regroup and head back for him. And again, it's this whole, like, no one gets left behind thing. And then very curiously, Wack just leaves. Like, why? No one told him to leave. No one told him that R2 was back. So why did he just leave? I always found that moment kind of weird. But then R2 gets the detonator to go off early with him still inside the ship. So now it's R2's turn to make the sacrifice play. The Jedi end up figuring out that it's a bomb, but not before it's too late. But luckily, R2 got it to detonate early before it hit the station. Now, that didn't mean that people didn't die, right? Like, we see ships exploding in the distance, but the casualties, I'm sure, were far less than what they could have been. And I think it's also, like, the biggest explosion they've ever done in the series as well, so that was pretty cool. The Colonel ends up sending the station a message, which Anakin responds to, and when he asks where R2 is, and he tells him, right, like, I'm sorry to report that he was on the ship when it exploded. He just saved all your lives. Anakin just gets angry and is immediately like, I want a salvage team out there right now. And I think this goes back to, again, this whole idea of, like, Anakin can't let go of the people that he cares about. Like, we've seen this done with Padme so many times, right? We've seen it with Ahsoka, and now we're seeing it again here with R2. So then this salvage team does end up finding R2. They end up repairing him. Anakin gets all happy and excited. D Squad comes moving in, and the Colonel's like, you know, look, I might just be a map reader, right? And I don't have much battle experience, so he admits it. And he goes, R2, you've got to be the bravest droid ever. I mean, you all are. He goes, I'd be proud to serve with you anytime, anywhere. And Wack goes, oh, I'm so glad to hear you say that, Colonel, because I heard that we've all been assigned to the same platoon, meaning that we'll all be seeing each other for the rest of the war. And then Colonel, obviously not wanting this, is just like, oh, yeah, that's great, Wack. And then just ends up crying tears of sadness. It was a very funny ending. I wonder what happened to the Colonel, like, after the Clone Wars. Also, so much for his promotion. The one part of the story that didn't pay off. You know what's funny, actually, is Steven Stanton, the voice actor who did the voice of the Colonel in this episode. I actually didn't know that it was him voicing him, because Steven Stanton, what I know him for is, like, the main one is voicing Tarkin. And he also does a really good Obi-Wan Kenobi, as well, as we'll find out in Star Wars Rebels. When he was doing the voice, right, like, he pictured, like, this, you know, big, muscular, serious general or whatever, and then it was just being, like, this tiny guy, which actually does make it really funny. And Dave would even tell him, like, oh, you gotta make it bigger. Make the voice bigger. Oh, yeah, that's a really good idea, Dave. Here's an even better one for you. That we're gonna make the second episode of 22 minutes. We're gonna make it completely different. It's gonna be about nothing. Just have him walking through this empty void. It's gonna be the best episode ever. Thanks, George. Also, another fun fact about this episode, David talked about it in the behind the scenes, and I didn't know this. The space station that they use for the Republic Conference or whatever is actually inspired off of the Imperial Station from the Star Tours ride at Disney. That's really cool. Now, I don't know if they still have that at Star Tours, because the last that I heard about Star Tours, it's now all sequel trilogy centered stuff now. But they used to have it, like, especially when I went on the ride for the first time, it was all like prequel and original trilogy stuff. But I never realized at that time that that was the same station. Dave just thought, right, like, you know, it was probably, you know, if it was Imperial, it was probably Republic at one time, right? So yeah, you guys, I think that's all I've got to say about this episode. Overall, I mean, this arc is okay. It's definitely the worst arc of the season 5 arcs, but I mean, it's all right. It's not terrible, except for the Void episode. Like, the first episode was fun for what it was. Second episode, not so great. I really like the third episode, like with Gregor. That's probably my favorite. And then this one, like, it was okay. Like, it stuck the landing. It did what it needed to do, I guess. Nothing too fancy. But next week, you guys, oh, I have been waiting for this moment since we first started doing this show back in 2023. One of the greatest arcs in this entire show. And one of the reasons why I so fell in love with the idea of Darth Maul coming back to the Clone Wars. For something like this. I cannot wait. I wish you could all share in on the excitement right now. We'll have to wait till next week, you guys, as we wait to talk about Season 5, Episode 14, Eminence. Oh, we're about to start cooking, y'all. Thank you all so much for watching. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with others to help support the channel, and I will see you guys next time.
We are Sith.
Do you serve Count Dooku?
I serve no one.
I thought there could only be 2 Sith. A master and an apprentice.
We are brothers. The true lords of the Sith.